The philosopher Rene Descartes once proposed that animals could be autonomous creatures, having no soul and only existing as just another part of nature, wholly elemental, as if kindred to water or air. I don't know if he ultimately agreed with the notion, but I know that reading his work changed my life. I think, therefore I am. At first, it can sound so simple. When pondered deeply, however, it can drive us to a new, undiscovered piece of ourselves that we've been missing and never realized. I exist. I have impacted this world, and I have a soul that has felt all the ups and downs that life has to offer. It's how Descartes determined that he actually existed and had a soul. And if that's the logical litmus for proving human, one could certainly think it was transferable and wholly applicable to animals. Some would still argue, though, that there's no soul. That man and animal are both just part of the never-ending ebb and flow of the story of existence. But I have to say, I think they'd be flat wrong. Perhaps it's our curse to not know the true weight and measure of our lives until it's behind us, fading and we're dying. We never take time to stop and understand our lives until it's too late. The good majority of us will live to be around 70 or 80, and a lucky few of us will hit the 90 or 100 mark. Even if given 100 years, each of us, we may only come to love about a dozen people or so, only really know backwards and forwards about one or two people. Out of all that time, we only come to know so few. It's not that we don't have the time. As for animals, do I hold the personal belief that animals are autonomous and have no soul? I have to say that I know just the opposite to be true. Animals think and feel within a soul on a level that can rival our own. They store up the experiences of life and can even instinctively pass on traits over new generations. Take a dog, for instance. A dog certainly thinks on a level that cannot be merely autonomous. You can sometimes just watch a dog and see the free-thinking wheels spinning. Ultimately, it's the loyalty in a dog that should be measured and judged. Sometimes you can just look at a dog and know that it would never listen to a word you say, a wild mutt that will never be tamed. Other times you'll have a dog that will listen to you only when it wants to, which can even be more frustrating than a dog that you know won't listen. Then sometimes you find that special dog that's loyal to the bone and would walk through fire if you told it to. I reckon that's how it must be between humans and God. Some are loyal and serve their master well, and some act like they don't get a lick of loyalty in them. There seems to be more and more wild mutts these days. I think Mr. Bob Dylan put it pretty simple when he sang that you gotta serve somebody. Those mutts that run away from God, sometimes they find another master, and sometimes they just serve themselves their whole life. But no matter what, they end up serving some master, just oftentimes not the right one. Unlike humans, most animals don't really seem to know the difference between good and evil, as we should. They weren't really built with the ability to think about things on a moral level. We can, but we've just muddled it up so much nowadays that we have trouble deciphering what's what with the good and evil. Dogs don't muddle things like good and evil because to them it's all about their loyalty to the master. Just because a dog is loyal doesn't mean it's a good dog, morally speaking. The dog won't know that though, because a loyal dog always thinks he's a good dog when he gets praise from his master. The morality falls back on the master, and if the master is evil, so shall the dog be. You gotta serve somebody. Something of reflection has been rising up in me on an almost biological level lately. It's as though my body knows that it's soon to be unneeded. It's like my soul is yearning for the next world. I've always wondered why the Apostle Paul sent for his coat and gave his final instructions to Timothy. Now here sits a man who has been blinded and healed by God, has heard the audible voice of Jesus, has escaped prison, escaped death, sailed the known world. He has literally been saved by God in every dangerous instance that his mortal body has faced. Yet it seems that this time he finally sensed that his struggle was over and his time was near.
What's wrong with that man, Mama?
What's that? What's that, honey?
What's wrong with that man, Mama? He's all twisty, like there's something wrong with him.
Did what?
Funny thing is, I've never once in my old age been asked about my scars or my limp. I was almost excited to tell her. Seems like the new generations, in order to not offend the older generation, have just stopped communicating to us altogether. They don't realize it ends up being the most disrespectful thing I know. Like they don't ever have time to care about anyone else's life or story. Maybe I'm being too hard on folks though. The opposite could also be true, I guess. It could be that an old man like me simply has too much time. Too much time to sit and stew about the things that have changed and the harsh frustration that comes with knowing there's nothing I can do about it. I know that the root of all this reflection is because today is my 98th birthday, and that a week ago yesterday I attended the funeral of my brother who was himself 97. And that's what has me looking back thinking that soon I might come to the end of this man's struggle. It has me remembering the days of my youth. This may be my last time to look back and reflect on the hard life that has been carved on me. So I've decided to put these memories of these events down to paper. Perhaps one day there will be someone who knows my story, my soul, as deeply and as exactingly as I'm able to put it on paper. They will know of my life on Horntooth's farm and the terrible man named Rex Horn. If they are willing to take the time to read the story of an ancient, unbelonging man still alive in this fast-paced world that has forgotten him. I try to think back to a time when life and death were simple things and the weight of all of this was much easier to carry, but I cannot think of anything before the flood. So for me, in my memories, my life starts with the flood. My life starts with tragedy. My life begins and ends with the weight of death brought on by the heaviness of a great storm.